are you noticing when you're bringing these people up, do you have any issues with like spaghetti code or indentation or properly naming of functions? Like, how do those things come up? How do you handle them? What are you noticing in those areas with these people that don't have experience and you're pulling them up inside your company?
Yeah, there's two different levels of that question, right? There's two different levels of that problem. The base level is super easy fixed by RubuCop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So RubuCop solves that. You just say, we don't, you don't check in code that doesn't follow, the RubuCop standard. And then what's it called when you run it in the CI server? It's basically it's all the RubuCop rules up there, and then it gives you a grade.
Right.
So you don't check in code that doesn't get an A. So that takes care of all the the sort of the lower level syntactic issues around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into and this is the hardest thing to teach anybody, is how do you teach good architecture? I mean, that's a lifelong, I still I'm constantly refactoring chunks of Hyperloop because I go, what was I even thinking when I wrote that code? It's like,
Right.
I mean, how much beer did I actually have when I wrote that code? It's like, it's insane. So you constantly, and sometimes I think that's really, that's the only, there is no good architecture. There's just a willingness to refactor your code. And there is if you rely on test specs, if you say, look, what I'm really going to do is write the test specs somewhere in the process. And if you've got the specs to go with the code and you feel really like you got solid specs, then you have the freedom to at any time say, all right, I'm spending too much time in this module. It's too hard to make changes here. This needs to be redone. And if you've got a good, healthy set of specs, then you can say, okay, I can take the risk of refactoring this stuff. And when you do that, then you learn and evolve. And then I think in your own learning, you say, yeah, that was a better way to do it. But you got to I just don't, that's the only way I can think about software architecture. It's not like building architecture, you're constrained by these laws of physics to what's going to work and what's not going to work. But in software, we're so flexible and open. There's so many new ideas that come along,